Yeah, happy Friday, everybody. Glad you all are here with us. I'm super stoked we have this many people join in. I'm not going to spend too much time here talking, but and I don't want to steal Allison's thunder here. But if you're not familiar, I'm Ben. I lead the coefficient community here, and we've got Allison James here, who is up in Calgary, right? Calgary, right?
That's right. Yes.
Awesome. Allison's a CFO, AI enthusiast, self-proclaimed AI enthusiast. She's also one of, if not the most active and engaged, involved community members of the coefficient community. Um, not even 2 weeks ago, she sent me a DM saying this would be really cool to lead a session around. So there's no way we could say no to that. So here we are. Yeah, I'm just gonna let you take it from here. This is, oh, and also too, if you have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. We'll try to maybe do a little intermission and maybe get to a couple of them, but if not, we'll have 5 to 10 minutes afterwards. So, Allison, go ahead and I'll
All
stop
right.
sharing.
Sounds good. Okay. Let me just share my screen. Okay. I know that's not full screen view, but hopefully you can all see that. All right. So thank you so much for coming. And before we dive in, I just want to level set here because this is not going to be groundbreaking and revolutionary. In fact, I'd go so far as to say that some of you will be surprised at how not complex this system is. And that is actually what I think makes it highly usable right now. And it's simplicity. So this new world of AI and automation tools that exist out there, I think are going to create a future where accounting and finance systems are customized on demand, right? So this was my sort of first foray into an attempt at that, not using any fancy, spectacular tools, just some really solid, great, simple tools that translated into real time savings. So some of you on here might see some familiar things that I use in real life. All data that I'm sharing is completely made up. ChatGPT made up financials for a fake organization. We're calling it an example company, and so yeah, we'll just dive right in here. Quick overview of what I'm going to share with you. Just a very brief, high level sort of framework and process that I used here. What tools were used? What sort of the philosophy was that I brought into this build, and these solutions are the real things that actually get used in everyday life that save time on month end, save time day to day finance internal team operations. So then I'm going to actually show you the examples, the demo version of the examples, which I have simplified, and my month-end reporting engine, as I call it, which is the one that saved me and still saves me 8 hours a month every month. And then I'm just going to give you kind of a list, sneak peek of some other future projects that I'm working on with AI and automation. I would have loved to have stuffed 10 more projects on my list into this webinar, but we only have a certain amount of time. So if we get to the end and you see something on that list that you think, oh, I could use that too, I'm also going to provide you with my email and contact info where you can reach out, and I'm happy to share any of those with you as I progress along, as well as any of these examples. So this was the framework that I used going into this build. I really wanted to kind of zoom out and back up and say, what is the most flexible system that can be used to automate a lot of, month end and internal financial reporting, but also gives maximum flexibility and is maximum efficiency and valuable in terms of time savings, right? So really, this is ultimately what these systems came down to. And the examples that I'm going to show you are based on this framework, which is pull in the raw data, right? Coefficient is obviously a tool that we use to pull in a lot of raw data coming into sheets in this example. Match it up to where it should be. Matching is actually a key feature here because this is what allows maximum troubleshooting and maximum flexibility. Because the last thing you want to do if you build a whole spreadsheet model, right? I'm sure we've all been there. You think I want the most customized reporting. I'm going to build this fancy spreadsheet. It's got 100 formulas. They're all attached to each other, right? And one thing breaks. And all of a sudden everything's broken, and then you've got to go find things. So that's what this matching section is for. Actually, it's actually to give flexibility so that if something changes, things still work. They're not broken. The summary portion of this really is output, right? What is the actual usable reports? You'll see I've automated things like sending them out by email, PDFs, they're buttons now. And then alerts is, of course, the automation that you set up for control pieces, right? Oh, this went over a certain variance, or this is over the time limit that we expected, for example. Well, you can set up automations and alerts, and I'll show you some of those as well to save some time there. So as I said, really going into this, the key principles were I wanted to be achievable. This was not a project that I wanted to have a high learning curve for anyone, myself included, right? So yes, there are all kinds of software systems out there that you can get for specialized purposes. And if your purpose matches exactly what they do, fantastic. But I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that most people in accounting and finance are not known for their super flexibility, and that we often want the data that we want in the way we want it and as fast as possible. So that was a purpose that was included in this key principles, right? Was I wanted it to be achievable, save time, be flexible and customizable, and be able to troubleshoot with ease, as well as to have some cost minimization and tool simplicity here. Okay, so the tools that I used were Sheets, Google Sheets, Google Scripts, Coefficient, obviously. ChatGPT/Gemini. I would say for most of this, I use ChatGPT, and some Gemini as well. Both depending on the system that you're working in, work great. And Zapier. That's it for tool simplicity. That is all. And in fact, the starting point for this was, in terms of the achievable step, asking ChatGPT, here's what I want to do. I want to increase the efficiency of my monthly financial reporting process. And then I described my current process, as simple as that. That is how this entire project started, right? So this is the exact prompt that I gave ChatGPT. The purpose was to obviously clearly describe the objective that I was going for, describe the outcome that I was looking for. But I didn't give it too many guardrails because I wanted it to suggest what the actual ideal process to getting to more time savings and efficiency was, and maybe there were some automations I hadn't even thought of as well. I wanted it to list tool preferences, which it did. Someone asked me yesterday, how did I find out about Coefficient? Well, ChatGPT suggested it to me as a tool. And then after, I didn't include its entire response here, but there was some brainstorming back and forth, and I wanted it to rank the time involvement to set things up as well as the cost, right? We're going for maximum efficiency here. So that's for the month-end reporting engine, but I'm going to pause for a second and actually show you the examples of some of the.
All right, is Libby around?
Oh, Travis, did you have something you wanted to? Oh, no. Okay. All right, all good. I'm going to show you the accounts receivable and accounts payable functions here, dashboards, automations, right? So again, this is an anonymized version. You'll see a lot of these customer names are ChatGPT generated. They make no sense in the context of one company's customers and are repeated. But this is the dashboard. And I'll maybe just, I think I can flip over. Is that working? So you guys can see the actual dashboard now. Perfect. Okay. So you can see in here, this is really kind of the summary dashboard, right? On the accounts receivable side, I don't know if some of you work with QuickBooks and have used QuickBooks, but if you've ever looked for this average days to pay report in QuickBooks, it does not exist. So this calculation lives in here now because these tools have made that possible. This is all automated. Anybody over their credit limit percentage is highlighted. Any current and open invoices automatically populated in here. So all of this information is built into here. So in the back end, what this looks like is, here's the coefficient connection, of course. So this is the raw import that's coming in from the data, in this case, QuickBooks, in exactly the format that coefficient pulls it in. And then we have multiple sections here, right? So multiple files of raw data coming in because each of these raw data pulls in different information, right? Pulls in customer name and balance, pulls in the current, receivables summary. This one pulls in actual invoices, and then we have payments, and then we get to, so all of these tabs being raw data, the key principle I mentioned, which is the matching piece of this setup, right? So all of this is automated. And these are all, if you look into kind of the formulas here, right, you'll see these are a lot of complex formulas. I did not come up with any of these formulas. I have no claim that I am some kind of formula spreadsheet expert. And I actually think that is the magic here in the new world of AI and automation tools, is you don't have to be, right? And so when I built this, and this was probably almost 6 months ago, these various systems, I was going one by one, step by step into ChatGPT and saying, I'm trying to match these numbers and these numbers. How do I achieve that? Give me a formula. And then it would give me a formula and I would put it in and I would test it. And let me tell you, there were some times where I had to, if you've ever used AI tools like this, you'll be familiar with this, right? Going in and thinking they'll just give me a formula and it'll work. No, I had a few instances where I wanted to pull my hair out because I kept saying that didn't work, that didn't work, that didn't work. Anyway, we got there in the end. But since that time, not only have the AI tools gotten better and faster, and certainly I have experienced that ChatGPT is now able to get it on the first try more often than not. But now there are additional tools, built right in, right? And so I mean, even things like, I actually just heard yesterday that Gemini now has the ability to actually do some things in Sheets. But I mean, I use, is it going to launch? Let's see. There we go. I use the AI Sheets Assistant, right? Built right into Coefficient to ask it to make changes, right? To actually do things in the spreadsheet for me. So even since the time that all of these were built, these the AI and automation tools have actually improved greatly, and every single day more improvements happen. So if it can't do what you want it to do immediately today, any of these AI or automation tools, give it a week. It'll probably change. So I went on a tangent there. Back to this is the matching, right? It looks very complex. This was all, a lot of this AI designed. And ultimately, all of this data pulls back into this dashboard. So that's the accounts receivable version. I would say the matching is probably the most complex piece in here, but from here, you can also alert, right? Setup, I use a lot of scripts. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Google Apps scripts. In fact, I'd probably venture to guess that there's some people on here who are even more familiar with scripts than I am. And going into scripts, you can do a lot of cool automations, like have it monitor for certain things and send you an email, send you a message, things like that. And I'll show you a little bit more about that as well. Okay. Let me just come back to, here we go. Okay, so the second thing that I want to show you is the accounts payable variance flag bot is what I call it. So this was set up with Zapier and Sheets. And so rather than kind of going in and showing you all the details, some of this data was a little too difficult to anonymize. So I've just included some screenshots here. But on the left, you will see here, this is the screenshot from Zapier, which is showing this is a very simple 4-step Zap. So all it does is it's on a schedule. It runs at a certain time every week. It pulls information directly from QuickBooks, runs a little code, which essentially analyzes all of the accounts payable that's been pulled from QuickBooks based on certain parameters that I gave it, right? So I wanted to know in this example, and you can see on the output on the right in the example, I wanted to know, were there any new vendors in accounts receivable that popped up that had never been there before, right? I wanted that to be flagged as a risk. I wanted it to flag high variance bills. So was there anything that was significantly higher than the amount that was expected? I gave it those parameters. That's what's living in the code by Zapier JavaScript. And then based on that analysis, it sends a weekly Slack message. And this picture on the right actually is the Slack message that comes to me. And it says, here are the flags that have been detected. So this was sort of very simple parameters that I gave it. Obviously, you can make this a lot more complex. You can have multiple people being alerted here. There's so much potential in this kind of alert automation, and I think this is perfect for controls, right? Those control pieces that you want to be alerted on. I'm just going to pause here because I've done a lot of talking. And before I dive into the month-end reporting engine, ask anybody if anybody has any questions about this.
It's like we got one in the chat there from Nathan.
Well, I do that with Zapier. Yes, so you're absolutely right. It could be done with coefficient and using a filter formula. I did use Zapier in this case for the direct connection to Slack for the alerts. So yes, there's definitely many ways that you could achieve this. And actually, I will also say, I have my open Zapier account in here, and for those of you who maybe have used Zapier or not used it lately, I was really surprised to discover how fabulous their Copilot tool is now. And the last Zap that I built last week, all I did was in this chat, I described exactly the Zap that I want, which was essentially I just listed the steps. I wanted to check this info, I wanted to pull this, I want it to alert me, and I want it to happen on this schedule. And it built it so fast, and all I had to do was test it. And this is what amazes me, is these tools are just getting smarter and smarter every day. My only word of warning is do not do what I did yesterday, which is go too fast and not notice that the financial zap that I was working on improving was going into the wrong zap channel. So I had a moment of panic yesterday because for a moment there, I thought I'd sent all kinds of financial information out to the entire company in a Zap channel. So please check your Zaps when you're using this tool before you test them. You do not want to have this level of panic that I had yesterday. Okay, just going to.
Oh, we have
Allison,
a hand raised as well. Oh, there you go.
yeah, I
Sorry.
had a question. So I was just wondering, did you I very much relate to when you said you were trying to use AI, asking it like, I need a formula to match this and this. And did you just kind of step back and tell it, okay, I'm not going to do that. Like, I'm going to step back and I'm going to ask it to create this entire thing for me so that I don't have to go in and do that. Did you basically start from scratch with this end version that you have?
Yeah, so yes, I did start from scratch, and I started with that prompt that I showed you, and this, which is the analysis and reporting engine, is the best example of that, right? And this is my process page, which I'll dive into here in a little bit. With this entire analysis and reporting engine, believe it or not, first of all, ChatGPT came up with that name. It decided that we were calling it that, and I just went along with it. And second of all, yes, it suggested the entire framework from scratch, just not in those words, right? I started to pull out the common themes as I went along and built different versions of this and different use cases, and pulled out, okay, that we're commonly doing matching, and we're looking for maximum flexibility in here. So yes, it definitely came from scratch from ChatGPT. It did not do the majority of the build itself. It just didn't have the capability at that time. Again, this was 6 months ago. Now I could probably do about half more than I actually did automatically. But yes, it definitely was all of its formulas and suggestions, and I did not ask for individual formulas. And I have actually found that that works better in a lot of cases. And sometimes when I get stuck on doing something with ChatGPT, I will also make sure to ask it after it has suggested a formula, a process, whatever. Is this actually the most efficient way? Right? And sometimes it comes back and says, oh no, you're right. Actually, there is a simpler way that we can do that. So that's something to keep in mind as well. I see Hannah is mentioning that Coefficient does have Slack integration and you can trigger alerts. So there you go. See, I didn't even know that. Was there any more questions that I missed here before we carry on? Okay. Looks like no. Okay, so one more bot here. This is the AP approval bot. This is the one I was attempting to improve yesterday, and gave me a bit of a panic here. So this is version 1, and I am continually working on improvements for this, because the ultimate goal actually is to get it to be a button, right? So the button comes to me for an AP approval request. Right now, you have to type approve, reject, yes, no, that type thing. But what this does is it pulls the information, reads it, which currently is living in Sheets, but that's coming in through a Coefficient connection from QuickBooks. And that data is getting modified. So it's reading what is ready for approval, sending out a Slack message for approval, yes, no. Based on the answer, then going and reporting back whether or not it's approved, and then you can see kind of the result message here. Like I said, this is version 1. I think this could be even simpler, and I'm working on a button version, and a few more, complexities to add in here. But just wanted to throw it in as an example of, some of these automated approval processes, that some of the capabilities that you can create now with these AI tools. This again was created in Zapier, and this was, me just saying, here's what I'm aiming for. I want this message to go from here to here with this data, and I want this person to respond and stick it in this Slack channel. Okay, so on to the month-end reporting engine. Oops, I lost my. There we go. Okay. This is the one that has saved me 8 hours a month. Again, as I said, I hope that I'm not alone here in being the only person who who thinks that the ideal reporting setup is the right data in the right way that you need it, specific to the company that you need it for. So that was the purpose here. So this is the process tab, which essentially is my starting point to, first of all, remind me, what are the manual tasks that still exist in here? And as I've gone along here over the months, this list has gone from about 20 items down to, you can see, I think, 3, which is just, don't forget to update the year-to-date date, right? And double check one of the calculations. That is it. So I will get to automating those as well. When the review process is done, these are actually the end steps. So these are script buttons. And you can see, once I've reviewed everything, I've actually unlinked the script button so that I don't accidentally press it here. But the idea is, all I do is press this button, and it PDFs exactly the sections and pages that I have asked it to set up, and drops them in the exact folder I want them in. The methodology by which that happens is Google Scripts. I'm not a coder. I will happily call myself a vibe coder. And ChatGPT has created this script. So all that I did to do this, and for each one of these buttons, is I went into ChatGPT and said, hey, I want a button that PDFs exactly this section in this tab and 3 other tabs. How do I make that happen? It was as simple as that. And ChatGPT said, well, the best solution for you right now, given the environment that you're working in, I was clear about the tools that I already was using and had access to, is scripts. And it generated this lovely script right here. All I did was copy and paste it in, press the run button, see if it worked. 6 months ago when I built this, I think I had 2 or 3 failures before it actually worked. Lately, I've been seeing ChatGPT get scripts right on the first time. And not only that, I actually had a script recently where not only did it get it right on the first time what I wanted to do, it actually built in a reset feature that I hadn't even thought of, which was amazing. So it's getting smarter and smarter every day. So this is, like I say, the simplified version of this sheet, and don't be alarmed by all the tabs. All of the raw tabs here, this is all raw data that is coming in. So coefficients pulling this in on a schedule, which in this case for me is monthly. I want the data to stay the same until I'm done with it in the month-end process. Pulling in the raw data exactly the way that it comes in from QuickBooks. And then a lot of what you see here that looks, very complex is actually troubleshooting features built in. So the first thing I discovered was these little formatting spaces and whatnot that come in with QuickBooks data, difficult sometimes for formulas to recognize those. So one thing that came that again was a formula that was suggested to me by AI was this one little drop-in formula and hidden away in this tiny little box at the top, which all it does is it reads everything in column A and reformats it in a very formula-friendly way. I see a question. How do you set the time period for data pulled in by QBO? It's actually that lives in the coefficient extension in here. This one's actually not connected into my QuickBooks right now, so I probably can't demo it fully. But in the import, normally I would go into here and it actually does. When you click on it, you click on your import, you can set your filters and your time periods. So the full version of the spreadsheet, which is not the demo version, has, you can see raw profit and loss. This has the year-to-date version, SKU data, a balance sheet. There's broken down by months. It's pulling in data in all kinds of different formats by different filters. I really wanted to dump as much information in here to then set all kinds of automations against to be able to calculate all kinds of things. So in terms of what the overall goal is and output for this reporting engine, here's where it saves the time, okay? These buttons, obviously, the review process and the way that I use it works like this. The month ends. There is a scheduled refresh. I think it's on I want to say the 10th of the month, let's say. And obviously I can refresh it faster than that if I want to, where I know that's the month end cutoff. All of the data gets pulled in. And then all I do is normally these raw tabs are hidden because I never look at them. They just automatically come in, they happen in the background. Same thing with the mapping tab. All this mapping is doing is essentially saying the chart of accounts has way too many accounts. I do not want to see that. I want to see the grouping. Those of you in public practice that use Caseware, you'll live in the mapping world with me and appreciate it. This is the version of that for internal month-end close. So this is just saying what group should each of these accounts go into, and then the system and the formulas in here automatically match it up and grab them. So all of these tabs from mapping to the left are usually hidden. There is a budget tab. Right now, this one for the purposes of this demo is hard-coded in. Normally this would link out to a real actual live budget that I'm using. Example company sells a lot of things. Home decor, furniture. So we've got different categories in here, and then this is where sort of the report that I start with lives. So it's pulling in what is the actual projected month from the budget directly, and again, normally that's coming from an external source, and it's matching up all those accounts. All of this, raw real data goes into building the actuals automatically. Everything's mapped into the account it should be. And same thing with year to date. Projected pulls from the budget numbers, actual pulls from the data coming in from coefficient. Pardon me. And then this was just the layout formula that I wanted because it was sort of the setup and layout that worked, that I wanted to match up to budget, right? You can obviously have any layout you want in here, but the point was to have all of the accounts, all of the numbers, everything coming into here in a format that if something changed in a month would not need to be rebuilt. There's no manual pull in, there's no manually comparing numbers. There is no manually calculating variances either. There's an automatic variance tab that calculates what is the difference, percentage and dollar-wise. And then back on my process sheet, once I've had a look at the numbers, looked at what does that look like looked at some of this analysis reporting that automatically calculates. I've taken some of the calculations out here, but you can see, you can set up whatever charts you want, right? It's automatically calculating from all this data in a way that, you know, puts it to the output that you want without having to manually adjust anything every month or manually pull in any data. Then I go back to here. When everything's done, I want to save a copy of this frozen in time. So it's backing, this button does that, backs it up automatically using scripts. Again, AI wrote the script, not me. And then I have run a little draft executive summary. Now, I will transparently say, normally I do actually write my own executive summary because ChatGPT and any other AI tools just don't have enough context to tell the true story. But it's a great tool to check as a second set of eyes, right? It reads these tabs, the budget to actual, it reads the variance, and that button sends that information and the summary directly to my email. So I get an email saying, this is what AI saw that maybe I missed, right? So yes, this has been a huge and amazing time saver. Let me just go back to my notes here. Well, actually, first I'll pause and see, did I miss any questions here?
Yeah, Mark has one and Claire as well.
Okay. Sorry, who was first there? Did you?
Yeah, Mark asked if you've ever run into problems maxing out a Google Sheet.
Nope, never. And I will say too, and maybe I should have mentioned this, that part of the reason for having this little backup to folder button is because this exact same sheet refreshes with data every month. So it's not appending new monthly data into the same sheet. What ends up happening is this engine essentially is the sort of living same document that gets used. So the monthly data gets replaced on a schedule in these raw tabs automatically. And that's why I have this backup to folder button. It's specifically so that before it gets replaced, I can actually send it out and make sure that we have a, you know, hard-coded copy for reference.
And then Claire also asked, could you re-explain how you manage the text with blanks extracted with QBO to do the mapping?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Okay. So one thing I learned very quickly, you'll see this column is called empty because I really wanted to make sure that when coefficient pulled in the data, nothing was going to get messed up in here, right? So the first thing I learned was I needed to leave this column empty. So I left a note for myself saying, leave this column empty. And this little formula up here, hidden away in cell D1, this is the formula that I copied and pasted directly only into this cell, D1, and that is what automatically reads what's in cell A and puts it into this cell D. So that's what deals with the blanks, essentially. It just removes any spacing and whatnot. And then column E in here actually has the direct formulas that then read what is the account in column D and match it up to the category that's listed in the mapping tab. Yes, you can get a copy of this sheet. So I am going to, let's, before, I know we only have 5 minutes left, so I'm just really quickly, I've already showed you this. Oh, I did want to share one thing that saved me a whole bunch of time was using the search within formulas function to actually update a whole bunch of formulas all at once in a sheet. And then I discovered the coefficient AI Sheets assistant actually does it even faster and better. So I do have a few future automation projects. This is kind of a sneak peek of what's in the works here. A DIY bookkeeping automation for, you know, friends and family companies that actually need bookkeeping in my own corporation, I'm gonna be setting up that, and we're gonna test out and see how it works. A compliance GPT, I actually already have a version of a custom compliance GPT that I use right now, which automatically searches out new and relevant compliance legislation that I might need to be aware of. So this is that I don't know what I don't know. This is the mitigation tool I use for that, right? It searches the internet for me on a regular schedule, which I think I set for weekly, and then sends me a flag if there's something new that I need to know about compliance legislation, regulations, whatever the relevant area is. I have a BigQuery data engine that's aiming to do a bunch of sort of next level stuff like this. I won't get into the details of that at the moment. And then a grants agent, which is essentially like a custom GPT and AI tool that will actually search out relevant grants and apply for them wherever possible. So I will, any of this, you know, if you want any info here, if you want any copies of this spreadsheet, I am going to share with you here my direct email. You're welcome to email me. I have set up a link on my website where you can go and put in your email and request it. It's not going to send it to you instantly. I did not have time to build that. And in fact, I'm going to be totally transparent and say this website was built in 30 minutes last night using Replit. So cross your fingers, everyone, that it works. But you have my direct email. If you have questions, do you want to chat about anything? I love this stuff. So any of you don't have time for, I am going to make these demo versions with all the formulas available to you. You can have the scripts, you can have anything that I've shown you here, and you are welcome to it. I've run a little bit longer than I expected, so I'm going to say any last questions here? I can't see any faces anymore, so I think hopefully that's it.
Awesome. Thank you, Allison. Thank you so much. This has been really, really good. If you're still here, I will send out the recording as soon as it's finished. I will upload it to YouTube, and I'll send everybody the link here with the email that you signed up with. If you're at all interested, come join the Coefficient community. We're talking about this kind of stuff often. So thank you all. Appreciate it. Thanks, Allison.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming.